Hey guys,
So anyway,
this is Brad and Mike from Dallas Geek.
So like I was saying, that's why you should never have a kidney stone. They're terrible.
Apparently.
Yeah. Oh wait. Yes.
Yeah. We're live.
Oh.
You know, with all the peoples on the internets and stuff and things.
Not that I would know. Just talk, talk.
Yeah. So hey, so we are officially live on Facebook and YouTube right now.
We have a YouTube?
Yeah. Fairly, well, sort of a thing.
Oh.
We're trying to become more popular on there. It's the thing, but Facebook, people love us on Facebook.
People love us?
Apparently. Yeah. So anyway, yes, guys, we have now officially streamed for more times in the last 2 weeks than I think we did all last year.
Is that something that you want to say out loud?
Yeah, in this case, I'm kind of happy about that.
Okay.
So, like I said, we are live on Facebook and YouTube, and we are going to go ahead and give, as the title of the stream says, we're going to go and do a redo of our very, very, very first videos that we put out on the channel, which is our intro to comic conventions.
Now, we didn't really talk about this before,
but
if we're just redoing old videos, are people going to just say we jumped the shark?
No. Have you gone back and watched our old videos?
No.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Okay.
We tried, but it was 2 years ago. We were learning. We're better now.
We're learning?
Trying to.
We're better? Okay.
Anyway, so, hey, for anybody that is watching now or going to be watching in the rebroadcast later, thanks for joining us.
Hi.
And, of course, really quick, if you are not already following us, please, on Facebook, go follow us. YouTube, please subscribe. We would love to be able to have you see all the rest of our videos as they come out.
Do we have a Twitter?
Yeah, we actually have all the socials and whatnot.
So,
Facebook, Instagram,
do you
Twitter.
Follow on Twitter, or do you like on Twitter?
Follow. Yeah.
Follow on Twitter. Instagram. Like on Instagram.
Yeah.
Snapchat? No? Okay.
Who cares about Snapchat, honestly?
Vine? You gotta do it for the Vine.
Wow. Oh, are we gonna go back to MySpace or Friendster now, too? Just for, you know,
Taylor Swift still has a MySpace, therefore it is still relevant.
Wow. Well, that's a thing. Anyway, so yeah, definitely, yeah, if you're not already following us, we would love it if you did, because we do put out videos twice a week, which, by the way, for those of you who have been following us for a little while now, we're actually going to be changing up our posting schedule. Now, videos are going to be coming out Tuesdays, as they always have, but also Fridays. Our Sunday series, the Spotlight Sunday, is taking a bit of a hiatus while we revamp a few things. Now that we've done all of the author interviews that we did last year, we have some new ideas that we want to play with, but until we actually have figured out what that's going to be and how it's going to look, we got time before we have to put something out. So until then, Tuesdays, Fridays.
Just remember, guys, live action Mortal Kombat is an option for that Spotlight Sunday. So if you guys want to vote on that one, just saying.
Anyway, so back to the actual topic of today's stream, comic conventions.
Oh, is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
If you have never been to a comic convention before, good job, old man.
Oh, wow. Just keep talking.
If you have never been to a comic convention before, we have a lot of tips and tricks that we can offer you to be able to help make your first experience better. And if you have been to a couple, but you're not really sure if you know what you're doing when you're there, we can help you with that too. So, to start off with, there are really two categories of conventions. You got your big conventions and your small conventions. Regardless of what the focus of the subject is, whether that's comics, pop culture, anime, horror, gaming, sci-fi, there are very specific differences between the big and the small conventions. We're not really going to talk about medium-sized conventions because those have a tendency to be a bit of everything, and those are a bit harder to define. But the main difference between your big and your small conventions is really the atmosphere. Mike, how would you describe the atmosphere of your typical small convention?
Am I going to sound old if I use the word quaint?
At this point, you've already shown your age with the...
Okay, so they're very quaint.
I think it counts.
No, I would say small conventions have a more intimate feel. At the smaller conventions, if you've been to multiple conventions, when you go to a smaller one, there's better chances of running into people that you know, whether it be people that you're specifically trying to meet up with, or just people that you've seen at conventions before. Funny thing is that at my place of work, I interact in the gaming / pop culture community. This past Fan Days, which was back in October, I can't remember the number of people that I saw that were regulars that like come to my store that we just bumped into and started talking to.
Yeah.
So it's actually really cool to kind of get that atmosphere of just like, hey, I know that guy. I know that guy. I know her. I know her. I know him. I know him. Holy crap, I know like 20 people here. Like, that's a pretty cool thing to know, that you're going to bump into somebody that you know, that you're familiar with, and that you have a common and shared interest with.
Yeah, and it's not even the people that you know outside of conventions that you're more likely to see at the smaller ones. It's that if you go to multiple small conventions over a year, or even just the same small convention year after year, you'll find that a lot of the same people tend to go to the smaller conventions, or even just the same small convention every year, because there is a very specific appeal that they have. You know, that they'll have that at-home feeling, that, you know, everybody that goes to them regularly, they're basically family as far as you're concerned.
Let's say
it's nice.
It's a comfortable atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, people can go, people can kind of unwind, be themselves a little bit more. Whereas, not to jump ahead, but with like some of the larger format conventions, like, it's crowded. There's a lot of people, like people that maybe aren't great in social settings, or maybe have a little bit of anxiety. Like, it will flare up bad around that many people.
Yeah, so if it's your first convention ever and you're already a bit anxious about what you're going to experience when you're at the convention, how you're going to be able to handle that many people at a time, we would really suggest that you look at one of the smaller conventions as your starting place, because it is a much kinder introduction. Honestly, one of my favorites locally is the Dallas Comic Show. I mean, you have a nice grouping of a variety of vendors. You have your comic book vendors, obviously, with the name of the convention, but you have a lot of the memorabilia vendors. You have a lot of the like the plushies, the toys, the costumes, your niche vendors that just don't do as well at the big conventions, but they know there's a specific audience at this particular convention. You'll see a lot of those there, and it's just, you can stop, you can talk to the vendors, you can, like, if you have a comic book that you're looking for, but you don't really know who has it, if they have it, you'll be able to have an easier time talking to the guys running the comic vendor booths at the smaller conventions, and be able to say, hey, do you have this? And if they don't, they might be able to give you a suggestion or something similar. Easier than at the bigger ones where they have like 50 people at a time that they're trying to deal with. It's nicer, you know?
Yeah, like, it's a lot better. Better. Yeah. It's a lot better for interaction. Yeah. Not just amongst guests, but like you said, amongst vendors. Being able to kind of like, hey, this is what I'm looking for, or hey, I'm really interested in this. Let me talk to the person that made this and get an idea of like their inspiration and like that kind of stuff. Like, for us, you know, now that we kind of have our foot in the door a little bit, big conventions, it's easier to get interviews with people. But really, like, where we kind of made our name was at the smaller conventions, because everybody's so open to just, like, if you walk up to them and start talking to them, you'll sit there and talk to them for 30-45 minutes. Yeah. Like, it's really easy to kind of lose track of time talking with people, because everybody's so down to earth and everybody's so laid back to the point where they're just like, oh yeah, like you really like this thing that I made? Cool, awesome. Let me go ahead and tell you about it. And then before you know it, you've talked to them for 20, 30 minutes and they basically talked about everything that they make, how they do it, the process and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then you made a new friend.
But one of the biggest differences between the big and the small conventions is small conventions, you're not going to see the same types of guests.
Yeah.
You're more likely at the smaller conventions to be seeing your independent comic book artists, your like supporting role actors that are, their last big hit was maybe 15 years ago. The TV actors, you'll definitely see a lot more of the TV actors at the smaller conventions. And just honestly, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the guests at the small conventions. They're just different types of guests. Like, you're not going to go to a small convention and see Jason Momoa or see anybody that has ever done something for Marvel or DC.
Ben Affleck. But we know the story behind that.
Yeah. But so yeah, you won't see that ever really. But the big conventions, that's one of their biggest pulls, are the big name guests.
Exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, when we don't have to cover content for the show, our general preference, honestly, is to go to the smaller conventions.
Yeah.
They're more fun to us personally.
Plus, we know that we'll be able to screw around and kind of do more goofy, off-the-wall stuff.
Yeah.
With a smaller convention, you kind of have a little bit more, from our aspect and our point of view, we have a little bit more room and time to experiment, kind of try new stuff out.
Yeah.
Get an idea for like, hey, we had an idea for doing this. Screw it, let's go ahead and throw it out there and see what happens.
Yeah, but for the sake of name recognition, there's a reason why we and other people like us cover the bigger conventions.
Those sweet dollar bills, y'all. We get paid, right?
But
I'm gonna need to renegotiate my contract.
You have a contract?
I don't.
That's news to me.
The hell did I get myself into?
Anyway, on to the bigger conventions. The bigger conventions, you are gonna be, the bigger conventions have a very different persona depending on what type of convention you're at.
Yes, they do.
While the smaller conventions, there is a slight difference depending on the convention type. The bigger conventions, it makes all the difference. The only real unifying factor between every large convention is the amount of people and the caliber of guests that come. The amount of people at the larger conventions can be anywhere from tight to claustrophobic.
When you said, I heard club, I was thinking you were about to go somewhere totally different. Brad, we're live.
Well, yeah.
Like, woo!
I mean, that is not exactly an inaccurate description, depending on the convention either, though. And that's really the thing. If you want to go for the sake of people watching, the big conventions are the best for it. Just be aware that there are going to be a lot of bodies, so it's going to get very warm very quickly.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of walking, and depending on where the large convention is held, logistics of getting around are going to be very different.
Yes.
Like, for example, if the convention is at the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center, you know, the Dallas Convention Center.
Are we allowed to name drop that?
It's kind of a public place.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just...
Yeah. So now, if it's going to be there, then you have to just be aware that there is going to be a lot more walking and not as much upstairs, downstairs action. Just a lot more back and forth. And food is going to be a bit more spread out, so you have to pre-plan for that. However, if the convention is at, say, the Dallas Sheridan, like AnimeFest is, and its convention center, that is going to be a lot more up and down. There's going to be a lot more turning down tight corridors, but there will be a lot more food options, and the food will give you a lot more opportunity to spread out because of where it's located. And then, you know, if the convention is at the Fort Worth Convention Center, which as of right now, the one major convention around here that had been there isn't anymore.
I thought we weren't going to get controversial with our...
We're not. We're not. I'm just saying. If the convention's at somewhere like that, there's really no up and down, but there's a lot more room to spread out because it has an outdoor portion to the venue.
And then if you're doing it at a venue where it's going to be 90% outdoor, like something this year...
A-Kon.
You okay, buddy?
What? I don't know.
Good. Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. But yeah.
We'll let you know how that goes here in about a month.
Yeah. Hi, Kyla and Mondo.
Shut up, Mondo.
So, Kyla says, yeah, claustrophobic is definitely an understatement for the larger conventions. And...
Mondo, you're trash.
Yeah, sorry, Mondo. I keep trying to tell Mike that he needs to stop wearing the sports gear on a nerdy show, but he doesn't want to listen.
Aren't you the one last week that said that?
I did.
Okay.
I did. But different nerds watch us.
Nerds are nerds, man. Nerds are nerds.
And then... Oh, yeah. Yeah, so just to re-emphasize, no, if you are definitely somebody that has a lot of social anxieties, big conventions are going to be a bit of a difficult thing, or at most a love-hate thing for you. Like, we know several of our friends who have very significant social anxiety, but they go to at least one big convention a year, if not, you know, a couple.
Yeah.
But it's never the easiest for them, and a lot of times you don't see them around the entire day, which is perfectly fine, honestly, because the big conventions, especially if you plan to go the entire weekend, there's really no reason to go all day every day, because for a lot of them, unless you're at San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con, it's easy to be able to burn out on them.
Yes, it is.
Like, San Diego and New York, yeah, you kind of have to be there all day, every day to be able to see everything because there's just that much. Anything else, you can, if you're willing to walk around and not stop very often, you can see everything in one day and then go back on your second day to actually do the things you want to do. So, you don't feel obligated if you are going for the first time to a big convention, or even the 5th time to a big convention, to go for the entire time. One day is enough, or half a day for 2 days is plenty.
Unless you just want the experience of spending the entire weekend there with your friends, running around kind of getting into trouble.
Yeah, which is great, honestly.
That's basically what we did. What we do.
Yeah, which actually goes back to the big distinction between the convention types once you get to the larger side of things. Anime conventions versus comic and pop culture conventions versus sci-fi and gaming conventions. That's where the big conventions are going to diverge a lot. Pop culture conventions have a tendency to be much more merchandise oriented, with some of them having more experiences to balance out the merchandise. Others are going to be almost entirely merchandise based. Yeah. It's just because when you're trying to cram that many fandoms and that many genres into one convention, the easiest go-to for a lot of convention organizers is to just have the merchandise available to people that don't normally see all that type of variety in merchandise, even online. So that is an easy sell for them. Yeah. The experiences kind of come second a lot of the time. But if you are focused specifically on comic books or specifically on anime, the experiences become much easier to come by. In fact, anime conventions, the experiences are half of your time there, where you'll have everything from 24-hour viewing panels where they'll just play like they'll marathon an entire anime series all weekend, or they will just have like a film festival for all of a specific type of anime movie, and all the way to something as extreme as gaming tournaments, 24 hours a day. Or
I am going to enter into one of the gaming tournaments whenever we go to one.
Really?
Because if they're doing Super Smash Brothers, I want in.
You sure you're up for that one?
God, yeah. Or shot.
Really?
Okay.
I just know the competition is steep out there.
That's fine.
Oh, David's calling you out on this.
Yeah, well, David also lost money to me betting against Tom Brady. How'd that work out for you, David?
Wait, why would Mike be letting me wear this shirt? It's Goonies. Everybody loves Goonies. Mike loves the Goonies.
I do.
I
do.
I think your mom thinks you hate the Goonies?
No, that's not physically possible. I don't think that's possible. I don't know if anybody that knows me knows.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are your big differences between the big and small conventions. And it would take an entirely separate video to go into the differences between the different convention genres.
Right.
So we aren't even really going to try to go too deep into that. We're just going to continue to touch on little bits and pieces as they apply as we go.
Right.
But then, let's go ahead and hit on one of the big things for every convention, regardless of what category it falls under.
Merch. Sweet, sweet merch. Oh wait, that's not a word.
Cosplay.
Ah, I was close.
Yeah. Well.
Ish.
So that one of the big things that you'll find for conventions is a lot of the media coverage has become cosplay oriented. And I mean, we had a post yesterday.
And why is that, Brad?
Well, actually, for those of you that actually saw yesterday's video,
we put up a video yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, we did. And in the write-up for it, I actually pointed out exactly this thing, that it's easy for attendees and news outlets to focus on cosplayers because of every aspect of a convention. Cosplayers are the most bright and colorful part of the convention. So it's easier to just be like drawn to them, like a moth to a flame. I mean, you see color, you see lots of crazy costumes and stuff, and you go, ooh, I must check that out.
Is that really the analogy you want to use, though, moth to flame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on the convention, you'll even have Mothman cosplays, so it feels very appropriate.
You're lucky there's coffee in here, otherwise I'd throw this at you.
Do you not watch The Tick?
No, I do.
Which, by the way, Amazon's live-action Tick. Fantastic. Speaking of moths.
Didn't it get canceled?
No. It's on season 2.
No, I thought I just saw a thing that it's not getting renewed.
I haven't seen that one.
You keep talking, I'll look that up.
Anyway, cosplayers, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Why cosplay? What cosplay?
I don't know.
How cosplay?
I don't cosplay. I don't know any of this. Why are you
talked to
asking
enough
me?
of them. You haven't picked up anything?
Oh God, no. Wait, I've talked to people?
Wow.
No.
Sorry, everybody.
Wait, where am I? How did I get here? When was I in Berlin?
What?
See if anybody gets that reference. In the comments, let me know if you got that reference. I'll give you $1.
Right now, the comments on Facebook are focusing very much on just bashing you for your shirt.
Yeah, I know. And it's not a shirt, it's a jersey. What was the original question? Cosplay? Why? Who? Where? When? What?
All the above.
Okay, so where? I'm assuming in a basement or bedroom.
This is Texas. We don't have basements.
Oh, that's true. Attic? No, you wouldn't work on a cosplay in an attic.
Are you kidding?
Okay, so yeah, so a designated room of some kind, or just wherever you would have space. Who? Anybody that wants to express themselves through art, or just maybe kind of living vicariously through their favorite character.
Now, do people have to build their own costume for it to count as cosplay?
Hell no. There are purists that will say so, but no, those people are wrong.
No. if you happen to make
Fight
it.
me if you have a problem with that statement.
If you happen to make it, that's awesome.
No, but there are plenty of store bots. There are people that incorporate store bought into, like, they will buy specific things and then, that's the word I'm looking for, alter them.
Mm-hmm.
I just lost my train of thought. There we go. Sorry, I got back on. They'll buy store bought and they'll alter them. They will make modifications based on whatever it is that they're trying to turn the cosplay in. You'll also see a lot of interpretations of characters. So you'll see like gender bending of a character. You'll see this character in this setting. So like you can see like a steampunk Batman, steampunk Wonder Woman, steampunk. God, what other steampunk things have we seen that we were like, there's no way in hell that you could like even remotely ever think that that would be something that I would see in a steampunk form, and then we see it in a steampunk form.
Man, we've seen a lot of steampunk.
Like Gaslight steampunk, a lot of that stuff.
I don't know. I think I've seen a lot more steampunk than I ever thought I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Like there's a lot.
There's a lot
of love for it.
A lot of gender bending. Gender bending seems to be one of the more popular things, which is cool. You know, not. What are you looking at?
So, on Instagram,
I'm trying to have a damn conversation with you.
Yeah, on Instagram yesterday, I actually put out the question to all of our followers: what questions that they would like us to talk about during the stream,
Why
and
would you do such an awful thing?
And what tips they would have to add to it. I'm trying to see if any of them apply to what we're talking about right now.
I was about to say
they do actually.
The people that we know, though, you're going to give them a form where we can't edit anything.
Well, we're not going to show their stuff uncensored.
Again, the people that we know.
Anyway, but yeah, no, yeah, there's a lot of really crazy and creative cosplays out there.
Well, that's another thing too.
That's honestly just fun to watch.
Creativity is a lot of what people do it for. They do it because they want to kind of express themselves through, you know, art and whatnot.
Hey, Anna's watching. Hey, Anna.
Hey. They literally, you can, cosplay is up to your imagination. You can be as creative and as over the top with it as you want to be, or you can be very laid back and kind of reserved with it.
Yeah.
You really have it's really all what you can think of in your head and what you can practically put to application in the real world.
Yeah, and one of the big things that I think some people have kind of started to get the wrong impression about because of the internet interpretation of what cosplay means. Cosplay, especially at conventions, doesn't require any mandatory sexy variation of it.
That's it, canceled by Amazon after 2 seasons.
Oh, that's depressing.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, cosplay doesn't require a sexy variation to call it cosplay these days. That happens to be a popular type of cosplay, yes, but it's not required. Mm-hmm. If you want to, that's great. Just remember, if you're going to do that to a convention, pay attention to the convention that you're at, and make sure that if you're going to a family-friendly convention, that you're not going to be trying to go and cosplay, say, a very accurate Cammy from Street Fighter, for example, or just really anything else that is going to be potentially categorized as lingerie.
I mean, there have been.
You need to be very conscious about the particular convention you're at. Now, if you're going to some place like Dragon Con, that is
A-Kon, A-Fest.
Yeah, those type of cosplays are entirely acceptable after hours, and that's cool. Just keep in mind there are going to be kids around at a lot of these conventions, so if it's a convention during the day, be aware. Yeah. But there's nothing that says that you can't be sexy, but there's also nothing that says you must be sexy. In fact, some of the coolest cosplays that I've seen have been some of the more complex and heavier builds.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really down to the person and what your preference is.
Just so many skin-tight outfits at Fan Expo.
Mike is having a moment.
Not a lot left up to the imagination. That's all I'm gonna say.
But yeah, no, honestly, whatever you want to cosplay, whatever you feel comfortable cosplaying, that's great.
Yeah.
In every convention, regardless of the type of convention, regardless of the size of convention, cosplay is at all of them, and it is welcome everywhere. So, do it. If you want to do it, there is nothing stopping you, honestly. You absolutely should.
Just do it. Okay, we might get sued for that one.
You're going to go that route rather than the typical internet meme Shia LaBeouf? Or is it LaBeouf?
I've always heard it LaBeouf.
Okay.
But I also don't have that much douchebag energy.
That's fair.
Yeah. That's very true.
Hi, Chris.
But Chris, you are always sexy, so you can get away with it.
That is true.
Chris is always
Although
sexy.
to be fair, I will go ahead and just throw this one out there, and this is definitely not a popular opinion if you have spent any time looking at cosplay on the internet. If you are going to go out and put effort into a sexy cosplay, I am personally very happy to see guys try to go the sexy cosplay route, because it has had so much time going out and putting in just way more space than, well, I think a lot of people expect, but anybody would have wanted to necessarily see. Well, never mind.
So are you trying to say that you want to see me in a sexy cosplay?
I'm saying I like when guys participate too, because you don't see enough of it, and cosplay needs to be an equal opportunity place.
Agreed.
For anybody to do it. And honestly, like there's a guy here in DFW, Deacon Frost Cosplay. He does a kick-ass classic Aquaman, but when he does it, he actually goes for like the painted-on scales.
Yeah.
You know, full shirtless, painted on scales, and it is impressive to say the least.
Yeah.
And like guys like that that are very comfortable with their cosplay, that is a very welcome sight, because the more that we can start showing that anybody can do a sexy cosplay, the more open and welcoming I think it's going to feel.
Chris actually has a really good question.
Yeah. Buff Gray Andrews rocking his He-Man. Well, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Gary.
I was gonna say,
Gary Andrews.
I'm gonna read. We're gonna put the Texas public education to use.
I know, right?
I mean, it's better than an open
But yeah, no.
education. Though.
Honestly, no, the guys cosplaying need to, if you're a guy and you want to cosplay, feel free to do whatever you want and be very prominent about it, because there's so much attention thrown to the girls. Don't feel like you can't because you're not a girl.
There's nothing weird about it, Chris. There's nothing weird about it.
That's yeah.
Hey, we're guys admiring other guys' bods. It's okay, man. It's okay.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Although, once again, Chris, you have a very sexy body too.
You do. You very much do.
Yeah, okay. That's the hard part, trying to keep names straight in the cosplay community. There are so many people and so many names get
Let's say,
thrown
is
around.
Chris even your real name?
I don't know. That's a
No.
good question.
Okay. Yeah, anyway.
All I know is he does a very sexy Todoroki.
He does. That wasn't Todoroki that he was doing, though.
Oh. What?
Dumbass.
Oh, dang it. I need more coffee,
You need more brain.
I think. Anyway, next subject.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead and dig your way out of this one. I don't know if either of the three of us have the same body type, Chris. You're taller than Chris.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so the next thing on the list, so that we're not going too terribly long with this,
Didn't we
Oh,
set a
actually-
minimum of an hour?
There is one other thing that we need to talk about for cosplayers. Etiquette. Proper etiquette when talking to and interacting with. So we've talked about this ad nauseum before, so we are going to be very brief with this, but just to make this as clear and fair as possible.
The fact that this even has to be a thing.
One, if you want to go and interact with a featured cosplayer, do it. That is perfectly fine. You don't need to feel awkward about it. But please be kind and courteous. If they're taking their time to have a featured table there, they put a lot of work into it.
Yep.
There's no reason why you need to be critiquing their work. There's no reason why you need to get extra creepy on them just because you happen to have been following them for years. Etiquette is overrated. Well,
So I guess can we just skip this then?
just be nice. If you wouldn't want
Have manners.
if you wouldn't want your interactions done to your mother or your sister, please don't do it to one of the female cosplayers, featured or not. Just please be considerate. But once again, it's said over and over again, cosplay is not consent. I don't care who you are, male, female, regular attendee, or first timer. It's okay, if you want to get a picture with a cosplayer, it's okay to be close, but please no groping.
Yeah. I
don't really think there's much more to say. Just be nice.
Just move on.
Guys, especially guys,
Yeah.
don't be an ass. Anyway, the next thing on the list,
No kidding.
vendors. There's really not much that has to be said about them, other than they're there are a lot of them, and honestly, you'll see a lot more types of merch and really cool stuff at these conventions than you probably ever thought you would for nerdy things. Like if you thought that little niche shops on the internet for nerdy stuff had a lot of options, you never really understand how many there are until you see them all in one building.
No.
It can get a bit overwhelming.
That's an understatement. It's a bit of an understatement when you really think about it. What do you say?
Feature cosplayers, be sure to be courteous and show time constraint.
Yes,
Don't
yes,
just
yes.
try to talk to them forever.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other people that want to talk to.
Very true. Very true.
But that's also for any guest.
And that's also for
But
vendors too.
The big thing is, unlike the media guests, cosplay guests, vendors, anybody else that's there that's not like, you know, a movie star, they don't usually have handlers to try to remind people, keep the line moving, please.
Yep.
It's
Nothing
nice that you
secret
want to
with
talk,
them.
but just,
Yep.
you know, keep it short.
Agreed. Excuse me. Sorry.
So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So no, and then remember with vendors,
Yeah.
those people put all of that time into, especially like people in Artist Alley, people that hand make everything. That's a lot of time and effort that they put into it. Do not crap over anything that they.
No, in that Artist
have
Alley in
made.
particular,
Yeah.
you will see a lot of different varieties in types of art. You're going to see a lot of different styles, and just because you don't necessarily think that, let's say, watercolors is, in your opinion, high art, but you prefer like digital art, or you like the big prints rather than like the little 4x6s or the little keychains or whatever.
Yeah.
Just because it's not your thing doesn't mean that it's not good. Everybody that is a vendor or an artist at these conventions is there because there's somebody that comes to these conventions that likes what they do.
Yep.
Just because you're not one of them doesn't mean that you have to crap all over what they do.
Exactly.
And in fact, there's really no reason for you to give your complete honest opinion to that person, to their face,
Yeah.
just because they're there. Because it's just not necessary.
Nope.
Find the thing that you do like and go tell them that you like it. Buy some of it if you can afford it,
Yeah.
and move on. But you don't have to say when you don't like something. It's not required.
Word.
But regular vendors, I mean, you're going to see so many different types.
Yeah.
And just like we pointed out during our attempted live stream at Fan Expo this year, just
heavy emphasis on the attempted.
Minus the technical difficulties. Just because you happen to see a lot of a specific type of vendor, doesn't mean that you also have to have a running commentary about that. Like, say you're walking past your 17th Pops vendor at this particular convention. You don't need to go and have a loud conversation next to the vendor's booth saying, "Oh my gosh, why is there so many Pops here?" Because they're just trying to make a living. Don't be that guy.
I feel like maybe you're talking to somebody specifically.
No. You were talking about it in regards to how much money you were wanting to spend. I'm talking about it in terms of complaining.
There were so many Pops. I'm so proud of myself for not spending that much money on them.
It's fair. Yeah.
I think I bought... I think I only bought 5.
Yeah.
I wanted to buy like 50.
I mean, yeah, Pops aren't exactly cheap though. Like that's one of the biggest things that...
At a convention they're not.
No.
Holy hell.
Yeah. So that is one other thing that we should really touch on before we move on too much. Whatever price you normally expect to see for anything that's being sold at a convention, understand that there is a convention markup. It's necessary because if most of the vendors kept their standard profit margin on anything they're selling, they will never recoup the cost for their tables. Because especially for the...
And our least favorite Heather in the world.
Hi, Heather.
Oh, no, wait, I have a sister named Heather, so that's actually a close toss-up. Sorry, what?
You can beat him next time you see him.
She won't. She doesn't have it in her.
Dude, she did the last time she saw you.
She doesn't have the stones.
The right. That was your own risk. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
But so
Sorry, where were we?
Anyway,
convention markup. Yes.
So yeah, especially for the larger conventions, the average cost for a vendor to even be there in the first place, let alone the different pricing structure for...
Okay, if I can't talk like that, she shouldn't be allowed to talk like that.
She's not on camera.
I don't give a damn.
So yeah.
Delete that comment right now. You can do that, right?
We're not gonna. So, for those of you who are watching the YouTube stream of this, you guys are really missing out on the Facebook commentary. There is a lot of crap being thrown this way.
I hate everything and everyone right now. I hate you all. You're all terrible people. Except for you, Chris. You're cool.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's the... Like, there's depending on the table size or your booth size at most of the larger conventions, you'll be paying...
Okay, now she's daring me to do it. This isn't fair.
You, as a vendor, you could be paying anywhere from a few thousand to a couple $100,000 to really get space at these conventions. And especially if you're coming in from out of town, or you have to pay to transport any of your merchandise there beyond what can fit in your car, you have to recoup your costs. So normal profit margins of just your day-to-day operating costs are never going to cover being at this convention. And there is not a vendor that I've met who has said that the exposure that they get from the convention is worth eating the extra cost. So yeah, everything that you buy at a convention is going to cost more than you would outside of the convention. That doesn't mean that you should wait until after the convention to buy it, for two main reasons. One, a lot of these vendors do have convention exclusives. So just because you see it there doesn't mean that you can get it at another time. But second, if you see it at a convention, you're more likely to remember to get it while you're at the convention, and it's better to support the artists and the vendors that you personally love in the moment, because it's not only showing support to them personally, but it's helping them continue to make money doing the things that they love, rather than trying to just exist barely.
I will say though, to counter that, I found a Todoroki pop at Fan Expo for like $35. I got one from work like 3 days later for like $8.
Yeah, and that's really what you have to go.
I was actually really proud of myself because that was one that I was actually going to drop the money on at Expo.
Like, that's one thing that you have to really pay attention to and just be aware.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with spending money at a convention, but just know that you will be spending more. So budget for it and don't be an ass.
Yeah, that all boils down to not being an ass. Heather.
Anyway.
Don't be an ass, Heather.
So, looks like
Chris, you're okay. You can do whatever you want.
The comments section is turning against you, so we're gonna move on.
Oh, shocker.
So we already talked about vendors, cosplay, artist alley, different convention types. Let's go ahead and talk quickly about...
Yeah, that is a really good point.
What?
Sundays are the days to shop because they'll mark stuff down.
Yeah, so yeah, that...
Your face is a... What is that? Wordy dird? Yeah.
Yeah. So no, yeah, Sundays are the best day to buy something at a convention if you're gonna buy it, because a lot of them do have markdowns for their prices on Sundays.
She has charm. She doesn't have charm, does she? Is that what you would call that?
Yeah. It's Heather charm.
But charm is a good thing.
Yes. We like Heather.
Do we?
I do.
Do you?
I find it very entertaining when the two of you are in the same room.
It's not entertaining for me, damn it.
I know. But it's fun for literally everybody else. So,
I hate everything.
But okay, so yeah, to move on to the next thing, because we are coming up on the hour mark soon. Very quickly, photographer and videographer etiquette. Once again, be nice, be courteous. If you want to get a picture or a video, make sure that you are asking permission. You're not trying to jump in and snipe somebody else's opportunity to get a picture or video. So yeah, definitely don't try to take over somebody's moment.
Another thing, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, or hit you for that matter. I think it's just because I'm thinking of Heather and I want to punch her. What?
Anyway,
always be mindful of where you are walking at a damn convention.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The number of times that we will be set up for an interview, or we will be talking to somebody, and some asshat, not paying attention, walks right through the middle of our shot.
Yeah. And it's not even like it's hard to see. Like, we have the camera, we have the bright lights, we have the microphones, we have the full setup. You should be able to see it.
But just be aware of when people are taking pictures, be aware when people are taking videos, just...
Like, it's easy to miss the person with the cell phone going, hey, can I get your picture? And, you know, they're like 5 feet away from the person they're trying to get a picture of, so you, and there's a crowd around, so you just kind of, yeah, that happens. But like, if it's an official photo shoot or official video happening, or an interview or something, you can see that.
Yes.
Don't be an ass.
Or just social cues, people. If people are standing in what looks to be a pose, somebody's probably taking a picture of them. Just saying.
Yeah, like if somebody's and they're just standing there, you can assume, unless there's just a really weird tick going on, somebody's getting a picture.
Unlike the tick at Amazon.
We're back to that, okay.
Yeah. I just want to cause you as much pain as possible.
I actually really do like the show though, so that's disappointing. Yeah.
You're disappointing.
Yeah, just please be aware, and yes, in the big crowds, It's easy to miss some things, but if you just look around and don't walk blindly through a crowd,
Yes.
you'll notice these things. And yeah, we know, when it's wall-to-wall people, and you're just trying to push through to get to where you're going,
Right.
and you're tired, and it's been a long day, it's easy to miss things.
But it all comes back to,
Just be courteous, be aware, be polite.
and
Don't be an ass.
there you go.
So anyway, back to the last.
Can that be our new catchphrase?
Don't be an ass.
Don't be an ass. Don't we should do a public service, like a series of public service videos where like do's at a convention.
By the
don'ts, and then it'll just pop. One of us will pop up at the end, just like, just don't be an ass.
By the
And
way,
then we did the little, the more you know thing.
This right here, this is literally how we come up with most of our video ideas.
We have to do this. Like, just, hey, you think it's fun? You think it's okay to do this? Come on, guys, don't be an ass. Dum dum dum.
Oh my gosh.
I so want this to be a thing.
I think we should.
I think, did we just find us a use for the Spotlight Sunday segment?
I think we found a use for something.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, just if you're the photographer or videographer, be polite, be courteous. If you are getting your picture taken, just have fun with it. You know, that you don't have to be super serious. And of course, the big thing, if you're going to be trying to work with an official photographer or official videographer and do like a proper shoot, try to schedule those ahead of time. Don't try to do that like 5 seconds before, like go up to a photographer who you know is already popular and say, hey, can we do a shoot like right now?
Yeah.
Try to communicate ahead of time if you can. If you just want like a picture, cool. If you want to do a shoot, plan.
Yeah.
And
For the don't be an ass.
yes, you absolutely need to be
I will
dressed as
do
Captain
it.
America.
I will do it. I have the shield.
But like the cheapest Captain America costume we can find. I mean, like we need to go like dollar store Captain America for
I
it.
feel like it'd be sullying the name of Captain America if we did that.
No, it would be better. It'd be that much better.
We'll see.
Anyway,
We'll figure something out.
So the next thing,
The PSAs from Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming.
we already talked about it a little bit early on, but food, just be aware, most of these conventions, big or small, tend to have very limited food options. Some of them will have food trucks, but not all.
No.
Some of them will have actual food, but most of them are going to be restricted to your concession stand food options.
Oh, Heather, you are so wrong. You are so wrong. You are so wrong. That is the thing that I get complimented on the most. It is.
Anyway, oh my gosh.
But no, you are absolutely right.
Yeah,
food is
just
something
be
that
aware.
you need to plan ahead. If anything, snack.
Yeah.
Bring snacks.
You don't
Bring
necessarily
stuff in.
You don't necessarily need to have like big meals throughout the day,
No.
but be aware that you should be at least snacking throughout the day.
A lot of grazing.
It will
Yeah.
be expensive if you're buying food there. Actually, if you want better quality food, if any of the vendors like on the convention
Yeah.
floor are offering up specialty like candy or
Do it.
specialty food
Do it.
options, they're going to be usually the much better options than the concession stand stuff. Because yeah, the concession stands may be a little bit cheaper, but they are not going to be as good quality, and you're going to end up hating yourself more by doing, you know, your typical nacho with canned cheese versus a gourmet chocolate truffle that is in the shape of R2-D2.
Now, in the defense of the canned cheese.
Oh, I'm not saying anything bad about that. I'm just saying
No, I'm
that
just saying it'll help.
over the course of the day,
Yeah.
you're going to feel better about yourself if you've been eating stuff that makes you feel happier rather than the stuff that just makes you feel tired.
But it is a good, cheap way to detox.
Which, by the way,
There's a joke in there. Yeah.
By the way, another big thing, some of the conventions, if you're at one of the conventions, that one of the vendors is an energy drink company. Like, if the convention is sponsored by Red Bull, or by Monster, or by 5 Hour Energy, or whoever, Balls is a big one for the gaming convention.
Can you say that on a live stream?
must be a WLS. So yes.
Okay. Now that we have that clarification.
Yeah. Just take advantage of those. If you like those kind of drinks, take advantage. But also, don't forget to drink water.
Yes.
You need water.
So
to make it through a full day of any convention, you need water. At least one bottle. You will have trouble if you
We don't mean a bottle. We mean like
the biggest one they have.
But yeah, Kyla said it in the comments. That's what we did. We basically loaded up on goldfish, snacks, crackers, that kind of stuff, and we were just grazing throughout the day. Like, as long as you're putting sustenance and getting food in your body, you don't realize how much you guys walk. You guys don't realize how much moving you do and how much it drains you.
Yeah. And Chris is saying that selling food is not allowed at 90% of conventions.
Well, then those rebels...
That is true. That is true to a certain extent. You will occasionally find people that are willing to push past the rules, and others where the convention is cool with it. Take advantage when you do.
Those rebels are heroes. They are not rebel scum.
They really are. Very, very quickly, because we are running almost out of time. So, panels and special events.
Yes.
Panels... You're going to find that some of the most fun that you can have at a lot of these conventions are going to be the Q&A panels.
Yep.
Especially if any of the guests there are ones that you actually want to see or hear what they have to say. Yep. The panels are going to be a great place to spend your time. They're also a really great way to go and sit down in properly air-conditioned rooms for at least 30 minutes. Yeah. Usually an hour.
Yep.
And it's just a really great time. But one major etiquette thing there, if you're going to get up to ask a question, please, for the love of all that's holy, keep your question to one part and less than a paragraph to say. Because if it takes you 20 minutes to say your question, and it comes in 10 parts, you've already lost the room, and you're the asshole. Because other people want to ask a question, and I can guarantee most of the people that are doing the panels don't want to answer those questions, because by the time you're done asking a question, they've already forgotten most of what you asked. Keep it to one question, keep it quick and simple, and they're going to have a much easier time telling you what you want to know. And yes, just to cut it off at the pass, a lot of those long, drawn-out questions usually have a tendency to be about some plot point in a show or movie that they're hoping the actor has insight into. It's not saying that the actors don't have insight into those aspects of the stories, but they probably don't have this kind of insight you're looking for, so please don't try to waste their time or the audience's time asking those questions. Those are going to be better suited to ask the writers or the director, you know, the people that created the show or movie in the first place, not the actor that portrayed them, because those are going to be the people that have more insight into what was happening, whereas the actors will be able to tell you more of the behind the scenes and the experience doing it.
Just want to point out, before this whole thing started, you told me that I need to watch my mouth.
What did I say?
Anyway.
Asshole.
There you go. You've cursed more than I have.
It's PG-13.
I get one F-bomb in a PG-13 movie.
I said a family-friendly PG-13.
I can still drop one F-bomb in a PG-13. No, on that as well, no political questions.
Please don't.
For the love of all things holy. No
Nobody
politics,
wants to hear that.
No, just... I don't want to know what their thought on an abortion bill is, for crying out loud. I don't want to know what their thought on gun control is. I don't want to know what their thought on the 2nd District Court appointment. I don't care.
It doesn't matter if they are very open and talk about that stuff on Twitter. A panel is not the appropriate place to have that conversation.
We're here to have fun. We're here to escape from real life. And she's not wrong. She is not wrong. This is the one time that I will agree with her.
Wow.
I feel dirty for saying that, and I need to go take a shower.
It's not a curse.
I hate everything about you right now.
It's simply creative language.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so
that does sound like something she would do, because she's a pain in the ass.
So, yeah, just please be very considerate about the audience and the person doing the panel. And special events, in particular, you're paying for most of those to get into. You need to be extra courteous about everybody's time when you're going into those, because nobody wants to pay $50 to $70 to get into a special event and then have somebody try to bogart the entire time. It's not how you should be letting yourself be portrayed publicly. That's not appropriate. And finally...
And to counter that, you would probably think, oh, I paid so I get to stand up here and ask all the questions that I want to. No, that is not how this works.
No. And
I paid too. I will flatten you if I have to get to that microphone if I want to ask a question. Don't think I won't.
Yeah. And finally, to tie into this and wrap things up, the media guests, if you're going to go and try to get autographs or pictures.
Yes.
Be aware that they all have handlers. There are all things that they all have lists of things that you are and are not allowed to do when you go up to their table. One of the big things is don't try to bogart their time.
Yes.
Usually they have a very explicit, like 1 to 2 minute rule about how long they can interact with any particular guest. And normally there is also an expectation that if you're there for an autograph only, you usually can't ask for a picture with them as well unless you paid for that picture.
Right.
Some of them are a little bit kinder about that, and if they are, cool, but don't assume right off the bat. Pay attention to any signage they have or any instructions that their handlers have given as you've been waiting in line.
And some guests can be a little bit more talkative than others. Some will sit there and talk with you, ask you how you're doing and everything like that. When the handler's like, okay, you guys need to wrap it up, just be cordial and wrap it up.
Yeah, like just because the guest wants to keep talking, which will happen if you look behind you and notice that there's a line of 70 people waiting as well, but clearly you found a very talkative guest. Just because they want to keep talking, you need to be the more polite person. Yeah, you paid for their autograph. That's great. You didn't pay to screw everybody else in line out of their chance for an autograph or their chance to talk to them too.
Yep. Agreed.
Just be nice.
Agreed. Totally agree.
And yeah, so that pretty much wraps up the overview of everything you need to know about going into these conventions for your first time, or if you're just new-ish to conventions. We actually intend to do more of these videos and try to bring on other guests to give their perspectives on conventions. We definitely want to be able to bring in some of our friends that are involved with the conventions much more than even we are.
Just looking in the comments right now, there's at least one person that I won't ask. You know who you are.
Wow. But yeah, that's. Anyway, that's where we were. So yeah, just be ready for whenever we do bring on new guests to be able to talk about this stuff again. They'll be able to give a much more unique perspective than what we can. We're able to give the perspective of the people that have gone to conventions for a very long time. But we're going to be trying to bring on guests that have more intimate knowledge about the actual inner workings and the behind the scenes, and most importantly, what it's like to be a guest at. Yeah. So, yeah, we definitely are going to try to bring as much of that information to you guys as possible. But until then, final bit of business, in case you missed it at the beginning of our stream, we are going to be trying to stream more often, at least once a month, hopefully twice. We're going to be trying to talk about all this kind of stuff and more, all this stuff that we've been wanting to talk about but just haven't had time to record. So we're going to stream it, And we'll also use this opportunity to try to hopefully stay a bit more up to date with some of the current nerdy events.
Endgame.
Soon.
Godzilla.
And kidding, totally kidding.
I will throw you out that window.
And
it's got Godzilla and 11. It's going to be amazing.
And of course,
Stranger Things season 3.
And of course, if you want to be able to continue to follow all of our videos that we post on a twice weekly basis, which starting this coming week will be Tuesdays and Fridays now that we have officially put our Spotlight Sunday segment on hiatus until we can revamp it a bit.
I went to go live on a farm upstate somewhere. Oh wait, we didn't kill it.
No,
Okay.
it's currently been shoved in the closet until we can figure out what to do with it.
Oh.
Actually, that may not be the most appropriate.
Like Harry Potter. Got it.
We put baby in the corner, and we're going to figure out when to bring it back out.
But nobody puts baby in the corner.
Not for long. Until then. But yeah, so you'll be able to see videos, new videos from us every Tuesday and Friday. That's going to be all of our interviews and event coverage. Plus, eventually we'll be able to get back to our movie reviews and our Know Your Directors stuff and all of our other little segments that we've done here and there.
Endgame.
And
Excuse me. Sorry, I just...
we'll also be trying to experiment with a couple other short form videos and see what happens.
We are?
Yes, we talked about it.
Have we?
Yes, the menu reviews.
Ah!
Yeah. Yeah, so we will actually be doing all that stuff this summer and see what happens. Until then, if you're not that big of a fan of video, but you still want to be able to keep up with us, we are on all the social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course...
do it for the Vine.
And of course, if you want to be able to keep track of all of our episodes, but you don't really have the time to keep up with the videos, we have the audio from all of our shows, and eventually exclusive audio, but not right now, in podcast form on the Apple iStore, on Google Play Store, Stitcher,
What the hell's a Stitcher?
Spotify, I feel like one other place. It's all down in the description on YouTube.
Where's the description?
Down here on YouTube.
But not on Facebook.
Facebook doesn't let us.
But then go to the Facebook page and...
They don't let us link out.
Really?
Facebook, well, they do, but Facebook doesn't like external websites. They get mad at us.
Facebook can go to hell.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you can go find the audio for all of our stuff there. So yeah, you have no excuse to not keep up with all the stuff that we do. And
unless you just don't like us, I guess. That would be their only excuse.
But who doesn't like us? Well, you maybe, but who doesn't like me? Honestly.
What?
But yeah, until then,
I have to go to work.
Yeah, this has been Brad and Mike with Dallas Geek. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, see ya.
Bye. Go be productive, decent human beings, even though, Heather, that's not possible for you.
Well...